So today I'm going to talk about being a spiritually aligned entrepreneur. Part of being an entrepreneur is you are always selling. You're selling investors, you're selling clients, you're selling employees, you're selling yourself. And selling has such a stigma about being manipulative or people getting very scared about charging money for what they do. So I want to address that today. And the spiritual principle that my approach to spiritually aligned selling comes from, it's two. Number one, it's curiosity. And the other is service. So what I mean by this is if somebody comes to me with a project or an interest or a need, and they're asking me to provide a proposal about how I can help them, I get very curious about what's underneath what they're actually asking for. Because there's always a question behind the question or a need behind the question. So I get very, very curious. Now, I always ask permission to ask questions for context. So if somebody says, hey, Kay, can you write a proposal on doing X, Y, and Z? I will always ask first, I'm happy to do that. Would you be open to me asking you a few questions so I can get grounded in the larger picture of what it is that's going on for you? Nobody ever says no. No, don't ask me any questions. So curiosity is really kind of the key. Now, let me show you exactly what I get curious about. Oh, come on. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about Plot Mountain. Plot Mountain looks like that. So there is a pre-period. There's some precipitating event that spurs action. Then there's a resolution. And then this is the denouement. Or, in other words, the happy ever after. So let's use Cinderella. Cinderella was, enslaved by her wicked stepmother and her nasty stepsisters. But then the precipitating event, there's a ball. So she tries to sew her own dress. She enlists the mice, if you believe the Disney version. She does this, she does that, she does the next thing. Oh, finally, a fairy godmother appears and waves her magic wand, bibbidi bobbidi boo, and voila, she goes to the ball. Oh, and you think it's going to be great, but no. Just before the resolution, the clock strikes midnight, and she runs out and she loses her glass slipper. And then, blah, blah, blah. You know the story. So all of this, she's trying, and she keeps getting thwarted. So eventually, she and the prince get together. And then the happily ever after is she becomes an entrepreneur and builds a shoe empire, as we all know. So we're very, very, very familiar with this story. Every sitcom, pretty much every movie, this is the way stories work. So what I get curious about is what's this potential customer's story? What's this, right? But here's where I start. What's your business problem? What's this pre-existing business problem that this project is trying to solve, or life problem, right? That this project or this interaction you're wanting to resolve in some way. What is this? And then why now? It's a brilliant question. Why now? Why now? Why are you taking action on this now? This problem's existed for a while, but why now? And then I asked them about the resolution. Like, what is your ideal? If this exceeds your expectations, what happens? What does that look like for you? So this is their own words about what the ideal resolution is. And then I ask them, what possibilities does that ideal resolution open up for them? So I've got this, and this, and then it gets interesting because I also ask them not only what's at stake for what you're working on, but what's at stake for you personally if this goes well, and what's at risk for you if it doesn't. So this is what we call romancing the breakdown. So you want to go in and really kind of put some salt on the wound here. Oh, that sounds terrible. And then what would happen? And what does that mean to you? Because as soon as they get in touch with what the real root fear is, then they're going to be more receptive. Anyway, and I ask a bunch of questions about this. I ask, who's the champion of this endeavor you want to embark on? Who's the challenger? Do you have any criteria for how you are assessing all the possible solutions to the problem that you're working on? What is that checklist? What else are you looking at? And why is that? Why are they attractive to you? Why is what I'm offering attractive to you? What have you tried so far? What's worked? What hasn't worked? And all of these things. So I'm asking questions here. Do you have what you need on your team? Do you have the resources you need? I get very curious about this. So then in the proposal that I put together, I talk about this. I talk about the most ideal resolution. I call that the big hope. I talk about this. Oh, and by the way, the other question I've asked is, hey, what are you going to do with the output of what I'm working on? And I will create for you exactly what you need so you don't have to do any surgery on it. You just can lift what I give you and you can go and plug and play into whatever you're doing with it next. And then I outline all of my steps that are going to assure that the challenger gets brought along, that we're meeting all of their criteria, that I am addressing why their other options probably have some downsides with them. And just by even asking them, hey, what's at risk for you personally, they believe that they can trust me because they've opened up. I've had the guts to ask them about what's at stake for them as a human being. So I'll come back later and talk a little bit more about how to structure that proposal, but understanding the real problem, the real underlying problem, romancing the breakdown, offering the big hope, and then giving proof why you can shortcut this rising action, that's the key. And truly, I'm being of service. I'm not trying to manipulate the person that I'm selling to into buying from me. I am genuinely offering them value and a service, even by the questions that I'm asking them. All right, that's it for today.